Watchers might remember this from a few months back when she was originally alleged to have breached the Code of Conduct. Now she found she has breached the Code of Conduct. This is Layla Butt, who was the member of Barking Dagenham Council who was responsible for punishing rogue landlords. It's found that she failed to declare properties her husband rented out and has been ordered to make a public apology. Now they've been found that there was nothing going on with her houses, perfectly fine. But if you are the person who has to chase down and punish rogue landlords and you don't make it clear that you yourself are married to a landlord in that borough, that would seem to be somewhat awry. It found that she made misleading statements to the council's monitoring officer, whose job it is to ensure councillors meet standards of behaviour. She has been ordered to attend a Code of Conduct training course and make a public apology. And the chairwoman of Barking Conservative, Tamkeen Sheikh, has said that she would ask residents fined for not abiding by the law, as indeed they would be, was this a fair and transparent investigation.
Yeah, I mean, at best, this is a huge conflict of interest, isn't it? Have Labour come forward? Should she still be a councillor?
They have said that she remains suspended from the Barking and Dagenham Labour group pending the outcome of investigation by the party, and they're therefore not in a position to say anything else at this stage.
OK, so this is one which will rumble on, no doubt. Right, let's move on then. The Waltham Forest Guardian has details of a rather unusual funeral.
This is indeed quite an odd one. Yes, this is a funeral for a fridge. Mourners gathering under the evening rain to pay their final respects, it says here, to a much-loved community fridge. A community fridge is basically a refrigerated kind of place where people can leave food and volunteers can give it out to people who need it. It was closed on Monday, November the 12th, only 2 months after it was officially opened with a celebratory ceremony. So it's not like it's had 35 years of community service. But they did have a proper funeral. They draped it in a black cloth with flowers resting on the top. It was placed in the back of a hearse, which was provided by a funeral company.
It went in a hearse?
It went in a hearse that was provided by Compassionate Funerals. Crowds, many of whom were dressed in black, walked behind the hearse as it made its way through Church Lane. Leaflets were handed out along the route with a message that read, "Celebrating the end of life number one."
A lot of strength of feeling for this fridge, it would seem.
It would seem that it really has, in its short 2-month life in the Leytonstone community, really tugged on people's heartstrings.
We slightly mock, but actually, is there a serious message behind this? Because obviously these things are quite important to people, aren't they?
It is. And we can kind of raise an eyebrow. It's a project aimed to reduce food poverty and waste in the area. It's run entirely by volunteers and depended on donations. And they did say that an average of 60 people were visiting daily to donate food and pick up what was most needed. They have had one offer to replace it, but it's not in Leytonstone and they want it to remain in the community. OK,
so unresolved at this stage, but the funeral took place.
It did.
Right, tell us what the Newham Recorder has got this evening.
Yes, they have a tale of a police officer who, misread his public duties, really, after he assaulted a headphone seller while trying to steal a pair of his £200 headphones while drunk. And he's been sacked now. This is Special Police Sergeant Moyle Alon. He also pulled out his warrant card when the seller accused him of warranty. In fact, this was at Westfield Stratford City out in East London. The panel heard that he initially tried to offer the seller £50 for these £200 headphones, then grabbed them 3 times saying he wanted to inspect them. And then CCTV footage showed that he actually struck or slapped the seller on the face. When he accused him of robbery, he pulled out his warrant card so that he'd go away.
Yeah. Questions around this as to just whether or not the amount of alcohol that he'd had could in any way excuse his behaviour, but that actually was brought up, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. When he was interviewed, he denied using violence and maintained he only pulled at the bag once as he suspected that the seller was running a scam. It says here, while intoxication may have impaired his account of events, the CCTV footage was pretty stark here, and he has been struck off from serving in the police.
Yeah, and the Police Federation who represent them tried to stop this, but thankfully the Met said no. We must move on, because this will rile a lot of people. There's a particular bandstand in Beckenham that is hallowed soil for many people because of its links to Bowie.
That's right.
And changes could be happening.
That's right. It's in the Bromley News Shopper. There's fury over plans to put a 15-metre foam path near to where David Bowie rose to stardom. I mean, a lot of places in London claim to be the place that were behind Bowie's rise to stardom. But this is the Edwardian Bandstand based in Croydon Road Recreation Ground. Vodafone's got a nearby 11.5 metre mast, but he wants to replace it with a 15 metre pole. And somebody called Dolores Turner, she said, I'm a Bowie fan and my young kids are too, which I think's great. And this is about protecting the heritage of this beautiful park. So we're asking Bromley Council to reject the proposal.
Yeah. We will have to leave it there, but again, this is one which will rumble on because people feel very strongly about this, and there's a big festival there every year.